Ready? Hello everybody. Welcome back to the Forgotten Horror channel. Mia there just telling me we're on and I wasn't ready. So thank you so much for tuning in and tuning out, as you probably will do after the beginning of this. We're going to do part 3 now of Collection Classics. I've had quite a good response and people have been texting me on Instagram. I believe it or not, I'm quite popular there. Yeah, they am. And people say they want to see certain things. So trust me, we will get to them in all in good time. But I have some sort of structure to these videos. Mia again is once again on the cinematographer. Now, I'm taking you back, this first one, I'm taking you back to the very first beginning of my collection. And I started in 1981. A lot of you weren't even born then. But if you were, everybody knows what 1981 was like. You couldn't get nothing. No physical media was for sale, except this was my very first purchase, and I still have this today. And this was Bruce Lee's Way of the Dragon. I was obsessed with Bruce Lee, and I used to help out the VHS video shop, our local video shop, which just opened up in 1980, I believe. I mithered him so many times. I rented this, and I wanted all Bruce Lee's films, and eventually he got in touch with my mum and dad, and he actually said to me, Mum and Dad, I'll sell them me Bruce Lee's, and I was just over the moon. So this cost this grand sum of £10 in 1981, which was a lot of money. It's still got the original box, and there's the original tape. Now, a bit of trivia, this was actually butchered by the BBFC, so there was no reel of the nunchucker fight. The very first DVD I bought was the same film because Golden Harvest released them uncut. But let's go back to this. That was my very first. This was responsible for the physical media collection that I did over 44 years now. So that's to blame, that one. And similarly, the second one that I bought, obviously again, was Bruce Lee's Game of Death off him. Then I bought Big Boss, and then finally I bought Fist of Fury. That's another story for another time. But something about these old pre-cert covers, this always takes me back to my childhood, being a massive fan of Bruce. Still am a massive fan of Bruce Lee. I will do a Bruce Lee collection video one time. Anyway, staying with Bruce Lee. Now, there's been a lot of Bruce Lee box sets, and recently we've had the Criterion box set, and we had the Golden Harvest box set, and before that there was the Golden Harvest box set. But one that I've got that I love was from Korea. Now this is the Bruce Lee collection, and this is quite a rare one. Look at this. It's like an absolute leather Bible. This is an absolute beaut. Cost an absolute fortune. Open it up, and it's got like a velvet interior. Nice little card there, the Bruce Lee collection, telling you what's on there. And again, it's in Korean. So just put that there, safekeeping. Now, this is more like, remember the classic albums from when you used to get married, or some of you might not be married. This is like that. But this is the booklet that come with it. It's quite a chunky book. And again, we've got 2 tickets to the Bruce Lee. See, I wish I could read Korean. But it's obviously two tickets for me and Mia to go somewhere. So that was included in there. This is the booklet with all the information of all the DVDs that we're about to see. Unfortunately, again, as like a lot of these box sets, they're always from different countries, so they will be in the respective language. This is obviously Korean. But there is absolutely... It's good to look at the pictures, though, because that's going way, way back to his Bruce Lee's TV career there. But yeah, this is classic. Just looks exactly like the... that's where they got the still from that video. Love Game of Death cover. I love the game. If he'd have lived to have... The completed Game of Death would have been his best film. My favourite film by Bruce is obviously Fist of Fury. Love that film. The Big Boss. Now, I believe this is region 4, so my multi-region player has disappeared. Well, it died actually, so I was unable to. Funny how they've got the big boss and that cover and the Fist of Fury with that, and then they have the 2 classic. Wouldn't you know it? They have them 2 there on from the pre-cert. But yeah, absolutely an amazing addition. And Bruce there after his tangle with Chuck. Anyway, this is another little. I'll just leave that there. This is just different titles. Anyway, if you want to pan back a bit more, this is what happens while the wedding album. This is the big boss, and look at that. Unbelievable. It's like a big photo album. So that is the big boss. Then we flip it over. And yes, we have the Fist of Fury, my favourite. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And you flip it over again, and we have the Way of the Dragon. Or Return of the Dragon, if you're watching the USA. Flip it over. We've got finally the Game of Death. And then we flip it over again, and then we get the documentary Bruce Lee, the Man and the Legend. Unbelievable documentary, that one. I highly recommend. That's on Blu-ray, I think. Unbelievable documentary. Highly recommend that. And there's just some more of the features. I don't know if me can pick anything out of that, but yeah, the four Golden Harvest films, and obviously it closes with an iconic shot of Bruce and Chuck in the Colosseum. I will say this though, Bruce Lee's very, very fortunate that Chuck Norris never had his beard, because if Chuck Norris would have had his beard, Chuck, as we know, is so hard he had a fist in his beard, so Bruce Lee wouldn't have been able to counterpunch the fist coming from the beard. So Bruce would have messed his maker at the hands of Chuck, because the fist in the beard would have knocked out Bruce. Anyway, now that's what I like to tell people to annoy them. Anyway, so that is that beautiful box set there. I'll put that back there. Now, moving on. People have been talking about video nasties and all about the Video Nasty Act and the pre-cert VHSs, and I've had quite a few people say, Dave, are you going to show some of your VHS? Well, I will do some on the VHSs, but I'll just give you these 2 for just as a little taster. So the poster child of the Video Nasties was this bad boy, the Driller Killer, and it was this video alone that set off Mary Whitehouse and her whole campaign to start the Video Nasty Act. Why? Because this actual picture was in a magazine, and it was just the standard magazine that you picked up off the shelf, and the video company decided to push it and just put that in a cool spread. That, could you imagine looking through your daily magazine, which, don't forget, there was no physical media, no internet, no nothing back then. It was just an advert for this, the Driller Killer. And that was the film that started the whole debacle of Video Nasties. And as we can see, it's an original box, the Vipco.
Oh, God.
And it's the original tape. And actually, which is funny, is if you look, there's still like the video shop numbers on there. I actually tried to phone that number once. It's just dead. It's just dead because I want to say, oh, I've got your Driller Killer here. Well, there you go. There's got the security tab on it as well.
I will go to prison.
You could have gone to prison. In fact, we got raided twice because of my sister and her friends over these. So that was the Driller Killer there. And then I've got another one that was a Notorious off Section 1. And this was the only time it'll be ever uncut in the UK. And that was I Spit on Your Grave. One of the very, very few Video Nasties I was not allowed to see by my sister and her friends when I was a young lad. And rightly so, because it's a nasty, nasty film, but a classic in its own right. And these go for, again in its original box, these go for ridiculous money. And it's the full uncut version of I Spit on Your Grave. Nasty, nasty film. Demi Moore there in her modelling career. Yeah, and the less said about that, really. It was just one of those films that I didn't watch it with my sister and her friends, but I sneaked down the next morning about 6 o'clock in the morning and put it on, and I just watched it. And I got PTSD. So there's 2 video nasties that was off section 1. As Mia knows, we got a whole host of them there. Right.
I might show them.
Yeah, you might show them.
Might.
So not yet. Anyway, so we're going to go back to horror now. We're going to keep it horror, and we're going to go back to the early 2000s when I was collecting these. Now let's go some classic horror. This one is the Pete Warren collection. Pete Walker. Pete Warren was my art college history of art design teacher. Pete Warren, bless him. But no, this is Pete Walker. Pete Warren. Pete Walker collection. Now these were sets early released by Anchor Bay early on, and these were around the same time as the tin sets, which I will show eventually. But this is where I was interested in, all the classic horror films of the day. I grew up watching all these. So here we've got The Comeback, House of Mortal Sin, House of the Whipcord, Frightmare, Die Screaming Marianne. So what happens is they release these unbelievable sets. They open up. You're going to have to get a wide shot here, I think. There you go. Look at them. You get all them. The Comeback, House of Mortal Sin, House of Whipcord, Frightmare, Die Screaming, and wow, what a box set that is. They actually go for quite a bit of money. So the Pete Walker collection was the first one I picked up.
Keep saying you're going to say Pete Warren.
Pete Warren, yeah. God love him. There we go. And again, there's no.
You might have to blur out the boobs.
No, I won't blur out the boobs because there's no censors on this channel. We are 100% adult friendly. So this tells you again that's a classic VHS cover, one that I've not got. The Confessional Murders. There you go. But that's a nice little booklet of that set, and these are all quite delicate. So that's the Pete Walker, not Pete Warren, Pete Walker collection. That's for there. Now moving on, because I was obviously a collector of the times in the early 2000s. The Norman Warren. See, that's where I got it wrong from. The Pete Warren. See, and this is the Norman Warren collection. Now in this one we've got another 5-disc collection, and it's Satan's Slave, Inseminoid, I do believe was on the Video Nasties, Terror, and Prey. That sounds like it was on the list. I could be mistaken because my memory's like not what it was. But this opens up again, similar to the other box set. And I bought these, I think they were like £12 when I first purchased them back in the day. Now this again has a little booklet. I don't know where that must have fell out from somewhere. But yeah. But again, it shows you some of the artwork. Satan's Slave, The Legacy of Terror, Prey. Certainly looks like you're going to get a bad time of it with the Video Nasties. Terror, Inseminoid. That was on the Video Nasties. I think it was I'm not sure it's section 3 or not that one. Well, that's the Norman Warren collection. Yeah, not the Pete Warren. The Norman Warren must be Pete's brother.
Poor man.
So that's that.
Oh.
And then now a lot of people might have heard of it, the Tygon collection. Now this was another one. This has got some excellent horror films. I recommend watching all these if you're a horror fan and you've never heard of these. These are just amazing films. Vincent Price, Vinnie Price, Witchfinder General, The Body Stealers, The Haunted House of Horror, Blood on Satan's Claw, awesome. The Beast in the Cellar, and The Virgin Witch. So this is a 6-disc of this one, I believe. Let's have a look. But this is a really nice set. Just the colours are popping on this. Not that I can see them because I'm colourblind. But here's a 6-disc one. There you are, Mies. Let's get on that one. The Virgin Witch, Beast in the Cellar, the Tygon Collection, Body Stealers, Haunted House Horror, and the Witchfinder General. And again we've got a nice booklet in there telling you all about. I mean, they ramped it up in the in the 70s with the nudity and that. So
You're telling me.
Oh, they certainly did, babe. Honestly, the 70s became like
The nudist area.
the nudist area. They certainly did. And for a young lad growing up like me, it was quite an event.
Oh, I bet it was.
So,
your brain.
Maybe my brain. And then last but not least, the Amicus collection. Now this is another gorgeous set. We've got Dr. Terror's House of Horrors, The House That Dripped Blood, and now the screaming starts. The Beast Must Die, and Asylum. And again, you open it up, just like the rest of them. And this is the one that's got a funny one. Yes, it falls out. Always falls out. So that's another 5 disc. So let me get in the camera there. The cinematographer. Unbelievable artwork. I mean, I should really take these out to show you what's behind them, but it's just, you can see most of the pictures there. And then again,
you can guess.
We've got the little booklet that describes, and there's the gorgeous Ingrid Pitt. Met her way back in '98. She was an absolute sweet woman. Had a great chat with her and a cup of coffee with her. Before the internet and before YouTube and all that, I went to a memorabilia show. It was in Birmingham, and she was one of the people. She wasn't really a guest star like signing things like they do today. She was there as a fan of memorabilia, and she was walking around, and I obviously bumped into her, and didn't have a mobile. There was no mobile phones, so I bumped into her, and I was like, "Oh my God, Ingrid Pitt!" And she was the sweetest woman ever. She spent about 15-20 minutes having a laugh, talking about how cold she was on a lot of the sets. So yeah, she was a sweet woman. I always cherish that memory with Ingrid Pitt. Me and my brother-in-law, it was it then, went down there to Birmingham. So that was the last box set for this video that I'm going to show you. Hope you've enjoyed that. There's going to be lots more. Mia's dying for me to show some more modern stuff, so we'll get there. But for this video, go on, Mia. Do you want to do your final shot? She likes to do the artist shots with what we've shown today. So there we go. So we're gonna leave you wanting a little bit more. I'll get some more modern box sets. Hopefully some more rarities that you've not really seen very much of in the next video. So this is David Ark, and this is Mia Goth Girl, Miss Star, whatever she's called, whatever she goes by these days. Squirrel, I don't know. That's signing off. So we'll see you again soon. Bye, everybody.